In today's fast-paced real estate landscape, success demands more than surface-level expertise. It requires insight, adaptability, proven strategies, discipline, and the ability to take risk. The Agent Brew podcast blends candid conversations with wisdom from industry leaders who've walked the path before you. Think of us as your strategic pit stop to fuel your real estate journey. From the crossroads of the world in the heart of Times Square, welcome to Agent Brew Executive Sessions. I'm Eric Zollinger, your host from Realty Co. Agent Brew is a podcast that percolates real estate insights, and Agent Brew Executive Sessions is where we talk to industry leaders who are shaping the industry as we speak. Today, I am honored to have from Million Dollar Listing, the first female on Million Dollar Listing, from the Corcoran Group, the CEO, the head of the Kirsten Jordan team, Kirsten Jordan.
Well,
welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here with you.
It's good to see you. I mean, we've known each other for many years.
Yeah.
It goes back to the Caledonia, which I think that's kind of my claim to fame. But so welcome. Can you start with your elevator pitch? Who are you today? What are your main focuses? And we'll go from there.
My name is Kirsten Jordan. As you know, I think the main piece of my elevator pitch is obviously I've been in the business for almost 20 years. I started working for other people and now I have my own team. My team is super successful and we've been very successful in a very, very short time. What obviously I've been on Million Dollar Listing in New York. And the other part that I'm so passionate about right now is honestly distilling why real estate is so important for millennials like me to invest in, because I think a lot of people are renting right now. And so my real initiative is saying, listen, there are a lot of tools and tips that I've learned from wealthy individuals by working with them that I wish I could just teach to my millennial friends who are still don't own their homes and really need to get into the market, even if interest rates are high and they feel like they're going to be renting.
Creating wealth. And obviously real estate is one of the best ways to do that. So
it is.
Let's go back to the beginning. Why real estate?
I got into real estate because I was actually living in Italy after college. I decided to leave the US and go live in Italy for a couple of years. I was learning Italian. And while I was there, I started doing sales for a company that sold the licenses for designs for greeting cards and wrapping paper. And what I learned from that experience while I was traveling around Europe selling these licenses was that I was really good at sales and that they don't really pay very well in Europe. So I decided to come back to the US and I wanted to sell bigger ticket items. And so I started selling real estate, which is, every single time you do a sale, you make real money.
Right. Absolutely. So I guess when did you get started? You said you've been in the business almost 20 years.
Yes.
So did you start as an assistant? Did you, you did. Okay,
I did.
great.
I started in 2007. I got my real estate license 18 years ago and got right into the business. I started on a team at Douglas Elliman before kind of it all began. And it was right during the beginning before the financial crisis. And so I got started. I was literally just doing rentals and running around. And then I slowly started to realize that the team I was on was probably not the right fit. And then I need to get a real kind of job because I was just on a team as a regular agent. And so I got an assistant position in 2008, working for a top agent who was really, moving up in the world of brokerage. And I was with her for 5 years as an assistant.
Wow.
24/7, which, as you know, back in the day.
That's how I got my start. I worked with Emily O'Sullivan and Kathy Slattery at the Corcoran Group.
There you go.
Before teams were ever even in existence.
Right.
So, and I loved it. I learned everything. That's how I got to meet everyone, which is why I did well in new development, because I already knew all the main players. So as you know, in new dev, you just invite them and you're able to do deals and you become that trusted person. So any mentors that you'd like to speak of?
Well, I worked for Sabrina Saltiel for 5 years, and she was definitely a mentor.
I didn't realize that's who you worked for. That's fantastic. So yes, you got such a great training.
I did. She's incredible, and she's still an incredible broker and has an amazing business. And then I would say, as far as other mentors, I was on Hudson Advisory Team for 4 years. I was one of the early
people.
People, but I was. And I feel like I learned a lot from those guys. And then honestly, right now, I feel really fortunate to learn so much from Pam now that I'm at Corcoran. I mean, she's busy, but she makes time and that's amazing. I'm doing a ton of work with Jody Stasi, who's amazing as well.
Yes.
I love her. So I feel like I'm getting mentorship where I can, but it is hard to find mentors in this industry, especially if you're not working directly for them
Right.
on a day-to-day basis. I feel like I learn a lot from the leaders who I'm able to interact with as much as I can.
So let's dive a little deeper into that, because you just mentioned Pam Liebman, who's the head of the Corcoran Group. So you recently switched firms.
Yes.
And that's very difficult for many agents to wrap their heads around, because they think that they're going to instantly, I'm going to lose everything. One, how has your business been since you moved? And then why were some of the reasons you decided to leave your previous firm?
So honestly, my business has been great since I moved, and I do think, obviously, you always lose something when you move, because you will never have everything perfectly filed. You'll never have everything perfectly organized, no matter how good you are and how it is what it is. But that being said, it was the right decision from the perspective of business. I viewed it as a business decision. It was not a running from, it was a running to. So
I love that.
I really evaluated everything truly about my personal business and the infrastructure of the company I was going to. And that's really why I ended up at Corcoran, was because I felt that the business I had could be supported the best by the infrastructure that they have. I do think that operationally, I think they're probably number one when it comes to how much they focus on making sure that the operations of the business run. And for brokers like me, who have a big team and a big business, that's important. It's a really big difference. Things working on a day-to-day basis is something that people take for granted.
Right.
And I think it's something that I'm really thankful for with my move. And it's going to help my bottom line in the long term.
Well, full disclosure, I am also licensed at Corcoran, which is where I began 26 years ago, 25 plus years ago. And I do have to say, I give Pam a lot of credit, because the company could have gone in many different ways after it was sold to what is now Anywhere. Back then it was Sendat. And she's really run a tight ship. And kudos to her. Corcoran has been number one by the Real Deal standings, the last 4 or 5 years? And not just in regular brokerage, but also new development. So, it really, when people change firms, it can be scary, but also it is a business decision. Because and it can't just be, I don't like this office any longer. It's, we generate our own business. Yes, we do. And so it's not companies giving you anything. You have to be able to support yourself. So congratulations on the move. And as CEOs of our own companies, that's why I love being at Realty Co, because we're here to support you, the agent. And so we aren't affiliated with any brokerage. We're affiliated with them all. So with that said, the current news, we're filming this in late September. Exactly. Just to be current and relevant, there was something that happened earlier this week. You may have heard Compass is going to try to acquire Anywhere for $1.6 billion and lots of debt. So we don't know, it's going to take 12 to 18 months, but are you concerned over this?
It's the kind of thing where I was actually even confused by the headlines. It was emailing. Now, Pam was really good at getting ahead of things, and
absolutely 8:30 a.m. on that morning.
Making sure she got ahead of things, which again, from a leadership perspective, I find really impressive. I think leadership is about not hiding and being really, really upfront. And I thought she had, she was super candid, and I thought that she was, obviously it was all factual. What she didn't know, she was like, I don't know. And the rest of it, she told us what she knew. And obviously for me, specifically, I didn't go to Compass when I could have gone to Compass. And so for me, I specifically picked Corcoran because I wanted to be at Corcoran. And my hope is going to be that it stays Corcoran. And I think that's the hope that all the people at Corcoran have as well.
Absolutely.
So or anybody who, is really willingly there. So the rest of it, frankly, I haven't had the time to read the fine print of the releases and all of that. And so I'm just kind of in a state where I'm taking it day by day, because honestly, I think we're so far out from anything changing.
Right.
I do want to view this as a holding company concept. And so I think ultimately that's what I'm hoping for. Right. And then the rest of it, I think it's yet to be seen. This business is so day by day as well. and I never thought I would move firms. I'll be honest. I was not sitting there unhappy where I was. And so,
but opportunities arise, and you start to see, right.
And I started evaluating options. So I think in so many of these cases, there are people even who in my position who eventually end up in leadership or management, or they end up deciding to do something different where maybe they're not actively brokering all day, every day. And so I'm not viewing this as something that's going to change my life. It probably will change other people's lives.
Right.
Well, I mean, it all shakes out.
I was at Corcoran when Barbara sold in 2001, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, I hope you have your gold jacket ready for Century 21." And it's interesting because hindsight is so important. Nothing changed. Corcoran actually got better because they had a bigger behemoth behind them that wanted to keep them for who they are. And so,
and there's networking that goes on within the agents of anywhere. Right. I noticed that right when I came over. So I'm really hoping for the best, and I'm only believing that because I don't think there's any other choice. I think you could totally go in like whatever direction. And obviously other brokerages have done their own public, this is what's happening. You're wearing the jersey of I don't really think that way. I really don't. I really think and the truth is that because of the economics of the business, it makes perfect financial sense for this to have to go under a larger entity just because the economics are so difficult for brokerage. Right. And everybody...
It continues to change.
Brokerage is called brokerage because of one reason, and that is a lot of them are broke.
Really good point. I mean, I'm shocked, and it just keeps those margins keep getting thinner and thinner. It's just interesting to see when I was in Texas with Douglas Elliman, Texas, that's where with Catherine Lee, I learned so much from her on how a brokerage is run because it was a startup down there. And that's when it started to really click. Even though I owned my own brokerage, it wasn't that I had all these agents that I had to keep happy. It was just, it's where you really learn the dynamics, and brokerages are tough. And so you have to learn, nothing stays the same. So as the CEO of your own firm, because you are a team.
Yeah, exactly.
My
brand within a brand.
So what is your biggest challenge today?
The biggest challenge for me is continually HR.
Okay. How so?
I have that many team members, 7 of us, and everybody's amazing, including myself. But there's always something, it's really about making sure that the roles are defined, that people are pulling their weight, and not just pulling their weight, that they're working hard enough, because everybody on my team works really hard, but it's making sure that that the right person is in the right seat at the right time, and that everybody knows who's doing what to who, how, which is like
it's so difficult because I've been part of companies that don't invest in people's growth. No. And then people
I believe more for my team members than they believe in themselves. So for me, it has nothing to do with making sure people are working hard enough. It's making sure that we're communicating in the right way, that there's clarity around who is doing what to who, how, literally who's running with any project, and then that the roles are defined enough so that we can have a well-oiled machine. And that's the only thing that really keeps me up at night. Everything else, business comes, we have a great stream of business. We have great business development. I love what I do. And I'm fortunate to run a team. I think it's really exciting and fun. It's way more interesting than just being a broker. I think it's the kind of thing where when you are looking at team leads and you're on a team, it's easy to count the team leads' money. It's easy to kind of say it's so easy to do what you do but the truth is running a team is a totally different thing than just being a broker. Right. And I wish I'd known that, but I guess it's good I didn't know, because I don't know if I'm sorry.
Good point. So do you utilize any special technology or programs that help you?
So I'm always thinking of iterations when it comes to hiring. I would say it's no secret that I've had some turnover on my team over the years. And I think...
But that's typical. You always expect that for any company.
And I would say I'm in a good relationship with like 99% of those people, or 95% if you want to look at the numbers. But the truth is that finding the right people and finding the right people for the right seats is the hardest part. And so what I have learned is the personality profiling, and some of these tools actually can be very helpful in just seeing stuff right away before someone even comes to meet with you, number one. So I do use that. I use disc profiling. I'm starting to look into some other as well. that I like looking at. But honestly, that's been a huge help for me is getting started with that. And then the other thing that I've found is obviously building out anything that can be done within project management. I do think that there's systems there's systems that you can use really, really well. We have not gotten to the point where a system is specifically working for us outside of
really?
Docs and Excel.
Have you ever tried Monday.com?
We did try Monday.com.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, and we had someone professionally help us build it out. But adoption's the biggest hassle.
It really is.
The best programs really don't matter if nobody wants to use them. And
Absolutely.
And if the personality type of who's in that seat doesn't want to be bogged down by that, if they don't, and they view it as they view it as like a hindrance, you need someone who not only has been brought up in project management systems, but like loves the day-to-day of being project.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've tried some stuff. We're getting there.
Listen, it's all what works best for you and your team. Yeah. So, wins over your career.
Well, my biggest win actually has been running a team and as being a successful team lead. The rankings are a big part of being a team lead, and having great rankings has been a really great thing that we've done over the years, which makes me so happy. I care a lot about rankings, which is interesting. I just feel like it's important to put it out there. I care a lot about rankings. It's something I think is important because it does give you a measure of where you are with everyone else. I'm not a big fan of comparing myself on the day-to-day with everyone, but I'm always amazed at how all that works. And I always love to think of the integrity of that aspect of things, that it's like really numbers against numbers, which is a fun part of the business.
Absolutely. And it's used by so many people, right?
And so, we're not like number one in the yearly rankings right now. Eventually, I think we will be in some areas, but I actually love them because it pushes us because we can compete against ourselves. But I love it. So
you're using it as a very positive way to motivate. And
also say, like, look where we are and look who we're surrounding ourselves by. And I think it gives you the opportunity to the people that you're ranked with, whether you're right below them or right above them or whatever it is, you get to ask them, like, how are you doing? What are you doing? And I do think that there's general collaboration that happens with that. I would say my other biggest wins, really, $1 Million Listing was really fun for me. I think I'm fortunate that there was that final season of $1 Million Listing in New York, and then I was part of it. I don't know if I would survive or be the right fit for what's happening now in reality television, just because I'm a little too buttoned up, probably. But I think that's awesome. I think there's maybe a future for me doing some other stuff like that, and I love the news stuff. I love all the broadcast stuff, so I'm continuing to.
Well, do that. And you obviously you're here on Age of Brew, but I know you were on Amy Core Values recently. Love Amy of App Properties. So you've made the rounds in really incredible content. So I just have to say kudos to you for really putting yourself out there and telling your story, but also helping to elevate our industry.
Well, I love creating content. And the truth is that if content was less expensive to create at the level that it is like this, right, it would be one thing. But the truth is that organic content does the best and it's the least expensive, but you have to have the biggest cojones to do it, right? And just be into it and want to do it every day. And then this stuff is actually for me the easiest because I feel the most at home, but it's like, it's not cheap. And so it's not a point you have to decide the angle you're going to have to be able to have it create revenue. Right. Unless you're literally just doing it as a vanity project.
Right. All around. But it's being able to leverage the type of content and you've been able to do that. So well done. And we appreciate you being here. So on the flip side, any transformational losses over your career?
I would say the turnover of the team had some serious loss points for me in the sense that, we had some great years where the team was larger and there was real camaraderie and there was something really special there. And effectively, like, people made career changes. I mean, some people have left the industry altogether, or I couldn't support their needs anymore of what they needed. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I would say that's the hardest part of this, because I feel like as somebody who has some friends in life, I don't have as many friends as I have colleagues. And my colleagues are my friends, and my team, there's a friendship piece of that. And it's always a loss because when they leave the team, you don't ever see them as much or hear from them as much as you should when they're on the team. And I think that's always the hardest piece of it because I care so much about these people. And I actually want to see everyone succeed so much. So that I would say that would probably be one of the larger losses. And then probably, just generally the losses of when you work on a big project and you had timing issues. Like I worked on a project in Chelsea where we just, we got it at the prices that were the right prices at the moment. And then the prices went down and we couldn't get them to lower the prices. And so we lost the project. And it was a big investment that we made in the project. And so all of this stuff those are big losses from the perspective of financial investment, but also just time and energy.
Right. So where do you see the business for you in the next 5-10 years?
I would say that I see myself focusing as much on new development as I will on resale. That being said, I am building out to have a true, really strong resale team. And like Amy Solomon's my number one on my team. She's incredible. I don't know if you know her, but she's a really special person. And she's really heading up that part of my business. I'm still actively involved in it, but she's such a strong salesperson and really, I would say like I could see her in the future, really long-term future of the team. And that's been amazing. And I feel like having some really strong team members that I think are in it for the long haul is really what I'm focusing on. I do anticipate having a couple large development opportunities that I'm going to be coming out with over the next year.
Is that here in the city?
Yes.
Wow.
I like working in I do have my Florida license.
You do? Okay. So is your team also in Florida or?
I don't have a team members in Florida yet.
Okay.
I'm like doing my continuing ed in Florida. That's all I've got right now.
Understood.
But I actually think it's important to know what's going on there. And so whenever I go down there, I do see as much as I possibly can. I, see property. I really do my research so that I can just be in the know in general on what's going on down there. Because there will be a moment either where I'm needed there for whatever reason. I mean, my family's very happy up here, but I think there's still a lot of opportunity there and you have to know what's going on.
Right.
It's really the sixth borough.
It really is.
Yeah.
So you work a lot.
I do.
Any hobbies outside of the industry or, how do you relax and recharge?
Somebody asked me that today. I was like, so
what?
My morning routine is really the best place for me to relax, trying to get relaxation ahead of everything starting. So I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning before my gym is at 6. It's right around the corner for me. So it takes me 4 or 5 minutes to get there, which is really important to me. And so I use that time to meditate. I usually write, and I have like a Mel Robbins journal that she put out at one point, which I actually really like. So I write in that and I try to spend that time with a little bit of mindfulness and relaxation and just I would say I try to be intentional. I don't know if coffee is a hobby, but I do drink coffee at that time as well after I drink all my warm liquids and mix my herbs and all of that.
So we are Agent Brew. What is your favorite kind of coffee?
My favorite kind of coffee is espresso with oat milk on an empty stomach. Oh. I mean, after I've had my lemon water and my apple cider vinegar and my, glutagenics and my nitric oxide and my oil of oregano and all the weird stuff that I drink in the morning. But for me, I feel like there's that and there's exercise. I would love to be in a real sport. I never learned any sort of hand-eye coordination sports growing up. I was a all-American race walker. So I was I did do competitive sports and track and field. I just never did anything hand-eye. So basically, I'm kind of like, I don't know how to play tennis very well. I can barely ski. I can cross-country ski. I only know how to do solitary sports. Right. So, and
are you a runner?
And the running clubs start too late. So I never ended up doing, I used to run with Jeremiah Doyle, who is a Compass, I think now. And we ran together for 10 years, basically in the mornings at 6 o'clock in the morning because it was early enough.
Right.
But the problem is these running clubs are at 6:45, 7 o'clock in the morning. It's too late.
It's we're already almost to the office. So we're on the way.
Little kids and they need me to be home at a certain time. So I'd say my hobbies right now are keeping my children alive and in the right educational institutions for them, taking them to sports, wearing a weighted vest while they're in sports, can walk around Randall's Island. And I'm weight training because I'm 42 years old. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take
Right. Okay, so let's play the gratitude game. Okay. So this is the rose, thorn, bud.
Okay.
But because of coffee, we like to have a little twist, right? So it's the aroma, the brew, the grinds, and the buds. So, or the fresh beans. Okay. So we start with the aroma, which is the rose, like a wind. But with the aroma, it's I grind my own beans every morning because I just love that aroma. So it's kind of like what gets you out of bed in the morning.
I get out of bed because of the fact that I know that well, first of all, I know that if I don't get out of bed and made alone time, I'm not going to get alone time. Yeah. And I do not know how any woman that has children does it without getting some time by themselves before everybody wakes up. I literally I get home from the gym and I usually have my AirPods on because I'm usually speaking to my assistant who lives in Madrid. And I'm on the phone with Janet, and I'm coming home talking to her on the phone because it's like later in the day there. And I get home, and my kids they see me come in the door, and they just stand in front of me. So I just am always looking for a little alone time, but wondering before I start my day. So my gratitude is just being able to be alone with my thoughts for a minute.
Yeah, that's great. So then the next is the actual brew, that first cup. It sustains you. It gets you going.
Right.
One might say it's what is your why?
My why at this point is actually just I love being in front of people. I love being on stage, and I love the not only the creating content, but I really love the public speaking.
The business.
Yeah, I love the public speaking. I love the relationships. I love all that super interactive, high energy stuff that really does it for me. And so whether that's with, meeting with clients and being client facing, or it's being on stage, being on a panel, being on a podcast, creating content, being on the news, talking about real estate, that really lights me up.
That's great. So any with the grinds, so it can be messy. Are there any frustrations that you have right now or obstacles you're trying to work through?
I think for us, my team is actually relatively new because of the fact that my head of operations has been with me for less than 6 months. Amy's been with me for over a year. So we're in a really good groove, but but my ops team is relatively new. My assistant's the one that's been with me the longest of who's been on my team.
And this is a virtual assistant you just mentioned?
Virtual. She was with me in person for a couple of years. And
got it. Okay.
Madrid. So I would say it's working through the growing pains of a new team. They're all incredible people and everybody's here to stay. But I'd say that's probably my biggest challenge right now is just it's finding leader. I want to be a real leader,
right?
And not just be like seagull management where you walk in and you just poop on everybody and leave.
Yeah.
I want to be real. Right. But there's also a lot of stuff I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Right.
Building the business, doing the deals, being a mom, being a wife, all that stuff.
Yeah. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
So then the final part is the fresh beans. So you mentioned some new developments. What's cooking? What's what would you like to have as your
Well, first of all, I am on a project which I had started on when that I was on starting in 2017 for a couple of years. It's 175 West 95th Street. It's a conversion building. We get a couple of units at a time at any given time. It's a great value in the Upper West Side, full service building, amazing location, plant sheds in the literally within the building, which is a super hot coffee shop. You can buy some plants as well and get some bars and everything.
Oh, I know exactly what. Yes, I know exactly. Oh my gosh.
So that's a project that we currently have right now, and that's been really, really exciting and really fun to get going again with that developer. And then I have another one, which I'm not going to say where it is, but I'll say that it's something I've been working on for a long time, and I think that it's something that's a project that's been around for a little while, and I really believe that my team is going to bring a really fresh, amazing perspective to this project, and I think right at perfect time where everybody's ready to move some product.
So when do you think you'll be able to announce that?
I think it's going to be right at the end of the year. I think we're going to be probably, maybe it could be by the middle of November, but I feel like everything I work on right now that's supposed to be September 1st is turning into November 15th. Yeah.
Leslie Wilson used to always say when people would say, oh, it's going to launch March, May, right, September. It's always like September or January, right? It's either
it's really two times these launches really happen, and you can do the best you can. And with what's going on with the mayoral election, it could be that we could have a big flurry of activity depending on where things go. I actually think the certainty of knowing could bring us activity regardless.
Absolutely, that's always.
Because I have my thoughts, I would say I would love to just have it be over. The way I felt about the presidential election. When it was over,
people just want clarity to understand. When I lived at the Caledonia, and this is going back 2012. So, Sandy, Superstorm Sandy happened to coincide with on that Monday, the community board approving or not approving what could happen or be built on top of Chelsea Market. So my business, which basically was rooted all at the Caledonia, it dried up for 6-8 months. I went from having my best year ever to having my worst year. Like, how do I even make ends meet? To then doing 6 months worth of business in literally the next 6 weeks after it was announced, after Superstorm Sandy. Even after Superstorm Sandy, people didn't care, even though the area was flooded. It was amazing because people understood, oh, now we know specifically what can be built there. We know if we're going to buy or sell. And so they don't like uncertainty. So
can't blame them.
No, you can't.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. And there's some opportunities out there right now where there is uncertainty in certain things. It's just not everywhere.
True. So I always like to end the podcast with my favorite part, my favorite question. Kirsten, if you could give your young agent self all those years ago a piece of advice, not young agents today, but you yourself, what would it be?
I would have gotten help at the office before I got so much help at home.
Elaborate.
So I am a mother of 3. Mm-hmm. I have a 7, 10, 11-year-old. Wow. So there were many years while my kids were very little that I didn't have enough childcare. And then I would add more childcare or be home less. And I didn't get help in the office. I didn't get like an assistant or anything like that. So I basically was like, I had childcare. I probably still could have found a little bit more childcare, but what I really should have done was getting help in the office so that I was able to keep things going when I wasn't there. And even between maternity leaves and those early years and hardship that I had with some of my kids during the early years of things that they needed. And I wish I had just owned up to that being a cost of doing business instead of trying to do everything. Right. Being resentful about it.
Because it is a cost of doing business, right? Because it's just, it's which line are you putting it on? And so that's such great insight.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I am not a great mother to little children. I loved my little kids when they were little. I enjoy parenting older children. The physicality of having little kids was harder, but I wish I had still structured things so that at least I started building that infrastructure of what it was to have an assistant, what it was, because as soon as I did finally, after being in the business for over a decade, it was very clear that I was really missing out. Like, I think I tripled my business in my first year of having an assistant.
Wow.
It's because I wasn't, and someone like me energetically has such a hard time with doing stuff that isn't their thing.
Right. It's really tough to let it go, right? Because you feel like when you've done it yourself for so long, you're like, oh, wait, I can do this faster and better. I don't have time to teach somebody, or I don't trust somebody to do that. But once you meet someone, so like Susie Guardino, who's the COO of Eklund Gomes, she was the first person I ever worked with that I realized, oh my gosh, I can just give all of the responsibility and just think about how I can grow my business in another way. And so, there's a reason why she at under 30 was the COO of Eklund Gomes and still runs the company and does such a great job with Julia, because
she tried to step away.
She did. She did.
To come back. When she was leaving, I was like, see this guy, and they're going. Once they realize what they're missing,
exactly. So, well, it's been such a pleasure to have you, and such great casual conversation and great insights. Any positive quotes that have motivated you over time?
A good quote. What was the quote? Yeah. Come on.
So, okay. So I always end, behind the scenes. Yes. I mentioned this before. I have note cards full of quotes because I don't quite know, where the conversation is going to go, where it's going to really be relevant. But there were 2 that I thought were really great. First is the Estee Lauder. I never dreamed about success. I worked for it. And I just feel that you're such a hard worker and you make things happen. But this is the one that we both agreed was great. It's by Adam Horowitz. The hardest part about being an entrepreneur is that you'll fail 10 times for every success.
I love that.
The hardest part about being an entrepreneur is that you'll fail 10 times for every success.
Yes. And there's a really cute meme that you can love or hate Elon Musk, but what do you mean? What goes? I think the essence of being an entrepreneur is that sometimes you're just staring into the abyss, eating glass. And I feel like that's a really good way to describe it. You were looking for an uplifting quote.
Yeah, no, but it's really true. Come on, let's face it. And as the head of all of our companies in real estate, that's the mindset. And it's just like, sometimes I find myself looking blank and I'm like, how am I going to make this happen? And so,
it's a lot of that.
Well, Thank you, Kirsten, for joining another episode of Agent Brew. We hope you'll come back in future seasons, and we certainly wish you nothing but success, especially in the new company, but also as you grow your team and really have your new members grow into their roles.
And I'm so fortunate to have such amazing people, and I love doing this. So I'll be back anytime you want.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, I'm Eric Zollinger, host from Realty Co., reminding you it's a great day for real estate. We look forward to seeing you in future episodes. Have a great day. The Agent Brew podcast is brought to you by Realty Co. Realty Co. is your partner in real estate, bringing you game-changing benefits and services to empower your business. Visit realtyco.com for more information.